Ladies and gentlemen, gather around for a unique look into the world of custom motorcycling. We've gathered some of the industry's top builders and fabricators on this stage to show you their skills live and in person. Watch as they chop, grind, and weld their creations into existence right before your very eyes. Feel free to ask questions at any time directly to your host, Pat Jansen. The doors to the shop are open, so pull up a stool, kick back, and welcome to the Grease and Gears Garage.
That's your cue to clap. All right. Love a well-rehearsed audience. My name's Pat Jansen. This is Grease and Gears Garage. We're just a bunch of greasy mechanics. We all have cuts and scars from working in our own shops. We travel around the country. We set up this garage. We invite people in to kind of see what a slice of life in a shop looks like for somebody who builds custom motorcycles. So we're going to be cutting and grinding and banging and hopefully not cussing too much, but usually if we just bang in the wrong spot, that's when that happens. We also Facebook Live this, so occasionally you'll see me interacting with some folks on Facebook. Someplace between 30 and 60,000 people usually watch every segment, which is fascinating to me, being my age, that Facebook does that. But we appreciate you guys being with us on Facebook Live. So if any point in this you have a question or anything, just throw your hand up, walk up to the stage or anything. Basically what we want to do is we want you to feel comfortable in our garage. This is just what we do. People drop by our shop and they join in the projects we're doing. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. If you have extra pretzel, you can share. I don't know if your dad told you or not, but it's impolite not to share. So if I get hungry, I'm going to come down here and eat your pretzel. Everybody up? All right. But anyway, right now what we got is we've got Austin Andrella and Addie Andrella. Austin is from Austin Martin Originals. He is a local guy here. He's made quite a name for himself in the custom motorcycle ranks, building predominantly XS650 based choppers and bobbers and stuff. But you've branched out and done some Triumphs and some other stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing it Martin right now.
And then we've got Addie Andrella, and she is with Addie Boom Originals. They both have bikes here in the show, in the JMP Cycles Ultimate Builder Custom Bike Show. Addie, what do you have in the show?
Go ahead, stand out there.
I have a 1971 Honda Mini Trail 50.
That's right. There you go. And it is a beautiful bike over there. And then your dad brought some bikes, and they can look at those if they want to. Nobody really cares because you're here now. But anyway, what Austin is going to do for us is make a seat pan for War Pony. War Pony is a bike that the Grease and Gears Garage crew has been building since the very first Progressive International Motorcycle Show in Long Beach. Over the 7-show series, we're going to have it completely up and going. And so in Washington, D.C., it'll be a run and ride motorcycle. War Pony is using the drivetrain out of a Anniversary Edition Ultra Classic that Chris Callan from Cycle Source Magazine had. They got totaled, but it was a really nice drivetrain. What do you do with a drivetrain out of a Harley that old? Well, you transplant it. You give it life in a new bike. So it's in a Paco chassis, and so this bike has been coming together, rod right wheels, LA fairing. But we've been building this bike little by little. A little earlier today, you saw Chris and RJ Powell make the side covers for it. But Austin, take us through the process of building a seat pan for a motorcycle.
Well, it's kind of impromptu for me because I do hardtail motorcycles, so I don't have to.
Well, this is a big boy bike. It has suspension, Austin. I'm sure you'll be fine.
It's an old man bike, right?
It's an old man bike. There you go.
No, I don't really like riding ridges. They just look cool. What we'll do is we'll make a cardboard template, get some dimensions, and where the bends will be located on the frame. And that's about it. That's what we'll get started with, though.
Cardboard is your best friend when you start metal fabricating, because cardboard is less expensive than steel. So you can find it, ample supply. You know, who was it? I think it was. Oh, I'm not going to remember now. Anyway, Evan Favaro was impressed. Somebody showed him you can go get the postal service has those one size, envelopes. That stuff's really good because it doesn't tear, and so a lot of people are using that for templates. But any kind of scrap is good for a template. So you don't want to make your first attempt with steel.
No. So I brought my little helper up here, though, just to be my Vanna White, make me look good.
If you follow Austin on social media, you see Addie in the shop with him all the time. She's learning she's 8 years old. She's learning how to weld and fabricate and use shop tools. I said earlier today she might go to medical school, but if that doesn't work out, she'll at least know how to weld. She'll have a skill so she can feed herself. So,
what kind of welding do I teach you?
TIG and MIG.
TIG welding. They TIG everything.
I'll TIG everything.
See, these young guys, they TIG everything. I don't know about some of you guys that are my age or older. When I learned how to weld, I had a car battery, some old hangers, but hangers were made out of different material then too. But
yeah, you could weld with those hangers.
Yeah.
Filler rod. So first, I'm just going to get an idea so I can get the template in there. I want to mark it shy of the fender. And then that way we can cut it back and then lay it in there and get an idea where the bends are going to be, because this will act like the sheet metal will act. So, baby. And then, can you scribe it for me with the Sharpie?
What?
Once I get it back. Stand on that side.
What do you want me to do?
This is Chris Callan. He's the founder, owner, editor, Cycle Source magazine.
What do you want me to do, Papa?
So come up here.
Who's doing something else around us.
Make the bend right here. All right. Now, what we'll do is scribe the outside under here and hold it straight like this. Let go. Just like that.
Okay.
And keep an eye under there as you're doing it, but you want to run it straight up and down right along the outside.
See, same kind of deal. Starts with the pattern, just like we're
And
Yep.
move your hand. That way you can go all the way back.
She is.
Start back here and run this way now. Switch. Right here, baby.
It's going to take a pretty crafty guy to capture that girl's attention later, I have a feeling.
Yeah, it's funny. I fix everything around the house so I don't have to buy stuff. It could be the dumbest thing, but I'll take it apart and try to fix it. So that's what my wife always says, is you need to find a man that can fix stuff.
What's that Red Green says? What's his saying? If you can't be good looking, if the women can't find you good looking, they should at least find you handy. Yep. I got tired of fixing stuff around. I've been working on a washing machine and a dryer now for 6 months, and finally I broke down and just bought new ones.
Yeah, I tore my washer completely apart, front loader.
Yeah, that was me.
It wasn't fixable.
Yeah, I just got done taking the dryer apart. I fixed the problem. It was wrong. I put it back together. It had a whole other problem. I am not the Maytag man. But for some reason, I don't know if you get this at the house, for some reason, I got Sin Central Garage out in Iowa, and, I weld and do sheet, metal work, build motorcycles and hot rods. For some reason, my old lady thinks I can do carpentry work because I can do that. But I tell people the only thing I know how to do with wood is cut it too short and set it on fire. I mean, I've never been able to do anything with wood. So she wanted library shelves, right, in his room. Now it's a library because it's got books in it. And so I just made her steel shelves. Those things weigh a ton, but I just welded them together, man. I was like, There.
It's industrial, honey.
It's industrial looking, yeah. I don't know nothing about no carpentry.
All right, grab me that Sharpie. And the tape measure. Is it over there?
Good luck. I don't see one.
I got it.
He was tricking you.
So what I'm going to do is find the centers. And if you have like the same size tubing, a lot of time it's easier to measure from outside edge to inside edge because that'll be the same as center to center. So instead of trying to float it back and forth to find center, you go right here to the edge and measure to the inside edge of this, it'll be center to center. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense? All right, yeah.
That's a pipe fitter trick. So 9 1/4, center to center, outside to outside, 10 1/2.
Right. Yep. Chris was just pointing out, to kind of share with you why are we going with a custom-made seat pan with all the seat choices that are on the market? Why would you make a seat? And the reason is simple. It's because it's a custom motorcycle. It's a Paco frame, and the rear fender is actually off of an FLH style Harley Davidson that's been turned around. This is actually the front of the fender, so we turned it around and we just cut it off and massaged it to be the rear fender. That's kind of an old custom bike trick in order to get it because it has a really nice profile for a rear fender when you switch them around. And so the likelihood of finding a seat on the market that's going to fit this motorcycle is slim to none. It's just not going to be out there. And so it kind of mandates that you form your own seat. And a lot of times that can seem intimidating, but as you're going to see with Austin, I mean, with some very simple tools, you could make your own seat pan, and you'd be surprised at how easy it is to get upholsterers to agree to help you cover.
To hide your work.
What's that?
To hide your
work. To hide your work, exactly. But that is one thing. If you begin to do something with a custom motorcycle, we've talked about it with machine work. We had to machine a new stem for this and those kind of things. You'll be surprised if you walk into machine shops, upholstery shops, those kinds of places, and you've got a custom project that's going on, and most people go into those places like, well, I hate to bother you. I don't know if you do this kind of thing. Those folks are usually, they're so tired of doing the same thing. If they have to recover one more sofa cushion, if they have to make one more widget that's the 10,000ths of that widget that they've made that day in a production machine shop, they're going to be excited, and they'll help you think through a lot of your projects too. So when you want to do something custom, you can engage other people, and you'd be surprised how excited they get too, because they're doing the same. They're like us. They do the same thing day in and day out. So when you offer them the opportunity to be involved in the creative process and help you think through some of that stuff, they will appreciate it. They'll start calling you and saying, "Hey, do you have anything else? What are you working on now?" You'll find a good friend in machinists and upholsterers and those kind of folks.
That's right. So that's got it.
All right, what have you done now, Austin?
Got the centers marked. Got my center to center marked. And what you'll do is find your center. And like I said, it was 9 1/4, so 4 in, just under 4, over 4. I'm sorry. Outside was 10 1/2, so 5 1/4. So that establishes your center mark, and then you can go from there, cutting out the edges to get it right. And then we have 2 bends. One will be the part coming up the frame. So once we get these cut out center to center, we can establish where we're going to initiate.
One of the nice things about doing a seat pan, it doesn't always work this way, but like when we were making the side covers, I see some of you heard earlier, we had a lot of compound curves and we wanted a nice kind of concave feel on those side panels. With a seat pan, it's fairly straightforward, right, Austin? I mean,
yeah.
you can go with pretty hard angles because it is going to just sit on flat surfaces.
Yeah, you want it to make contact with all the surfaces here as much as possible, and then your seat guy will get your contour and the thickness of where you need it.
And you can get, we won't go into this when he gets it done, but, the memory foam and stuff, you can go buy memory foam, and I don't even know if they still use them anymore. I can't find mine. Somebody ran off with it, or I hid it for myself, but the old electric carving knives, are those still a thing? Okay. And you shave foam down with them, and that's just kind of an old upholsterer's tool, really.
Oh, baby.
All right, Austin, so are you going to – I see what you're doing now. Are you going to have that be kind of halfway –
Yeah, it'll be centered up on the
centered
frame.
up on the frame.
And
that's why
that
you
way,
found center, right?
The leather, when it tucks around each edge, it adds so much, so you don't want to be sticking way off the side of your frame. It'll actually stop about at the edge of the frame.
You need to go on this side.
And then I'll use my thumb or finger as a guide to mark the center on these top rails. And I just like a woodworker's, how they would gauge it off with their finger gauge it. And it gives you a pretty straight line.
Do you see what he's doing there? You can hold a pen, put your fingers next to on the frame rail, and when you pull it down, nothing moves. You just pull it down, and you can pretty much gauge a straight line down from the frame for that profile.
Oh, can you grab me that knife? Make sure it's shut.
What?
Make sure it's shut. Grab me that utility knife that's over there.
So,
Oh, he's getting you.
It's right there.
so hey, before everybody thinks we're just being rude, I have to apologize for making noise behind him. While he's making the flat part of the seat pan, RJ and I are actually working on getting a piece of metal cut out, and we're going to radius the back part that's going to go up over the fender. So we have a piece cut out. RJ's going to change the bit over on the English wheel, and we're going to start radiusing that to get a nice contouring radius for the back part of the seat pan. We'll bring both of them together with a little fold-over flap that'll give us some rigidity.
Not that Chris Callen would be
Needs any
opposed
rigidity.
to being rude, but this is the way it works in a shop, too. You'll just have guys wandering around. I have guys, I'm a one-man show at my shop, and I still have guys that come in and wander around, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you in my shop? I do have a dog. He's a shop foreman. He's Diesel the shop foreman. He's very popular on the social media these days. People like him more than they like me. So, again, Austin is working on the front seat, which will be the rider's seat. They're going to work on the back seat, and those things will get tacked together. Addie, is this looking like what you wanted it to? You don't know? It's just you're going to blame it on him, right? She said it's all on you, Dad.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm used to that. You got a cord?
All right, what tool have you got, Austin?
This is a nibbler. This was, I did a Matco photo shoot a few years ago. First bike shop to be featured in their calendar. And they were nice enough to leave some really nice tools at my shop.
You get photo shoots and free tools if you're young and good looking like Austin.
I wasn't in the shoot. So.
Oh, you weren't?
Yeah, it wasn't
They just
me.
gave it to you? Just the bike?
They used my shop for the shoot.
Oh.
They brought in their own.
Nobody ever gives me anything. A hard time. I don't get anything.
That at home.
Where do you want me to cut? Well, we could flip it, redo it, and I'll cut it.
Can they see that on the
Because I won't
screen
be able
out
to
here,
cut
what he's
in
getting ready
that,
to
I
do?
don't think.
That camera picks that up?
4.5 RJ, 18, right? Yeah, 4.5.
We talked earlier when we were making the side panels about an air nibbler. Chris had a nibbler that was of one design, and Austin now has this other one that he got for
This
free.
is like a shear, yeah.
Right, and this is a shear. And the difference between them is the nibbler, as I described it, is just a little hole puncher, and it's pneumatic, and it makes little crescent moon shapes, and it really just nibbles at it. This is a shear, which is going to do exactly what hand shears do, like a pair of scissors, except this one's electric, and it's going to do it much more efficiently than you can do it by hand, and much cleaner.
Okay.
So,
This is what happens when the nibbler shatters.
and that's what happens when the nibbler shattered. You broke the nibbler, huh?
Addie, you want to hold this down?
Addie, put your hands by the sharp tool.
Yeah. Grab the corners.
Hold it with your face, honey.
not the money maker.
It's much quieter than a nibbler, too. That is not a tool that you necessarily need if you don't want to hear your significant other.
And I necessarily wouldn't buy this $500 tool.
You wouldn't buy that?
Yeah.
$500 shear? No, because they just gave it to him.
Over here. Hold that edge.
Has anybody out here tried to make their own seat pan before? You have? How did it go? I tell you, that makes a difference. Austin, what gauge steel are you using for the seat pan?
Just 16 gauge.
16 gauge.
Yeah.
And if you were doing this for one of the bobbers that you build, though, which would be a rolled solo seat, what gauge would you use?
If it was aluminum, it would probably be 12 gauge.
12 gauge. And so,
1/8 inch.
with steel, it works funny, and nobody has ever been able to tell me why the numbers go. The smaller the number, the thicker the metal.
Yeah.
It's a dumb system. But anyway, that's so. But if on a lot of bobbers, you'll see they're just going to roll that pan. But on one that's going to be attached here, you can use a thinner piece of metal.
Baby. Hand me down. All right, now we're going to find the center of the front. And he wants it to be back slightly from the gas tank, about an inch probably. But we can measure like the triangle gusset here. 7.5, 3 3/4 then. And a lot of times you can't go off your dimensions because stuff isn't always perfect in the handmade world. So you have to stand back and kind of look at it. If it centers up with your gas tank, you'd be better off to move it over a little bit than to have it directly in the center and it look like crap.
You don't want your seat going. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You would rather have it be rectangular than a. What is that thing called? Parallelogram. Jeez.
Parallelogram.
Man, that's
Hold it right there.
that's geometry from back in the day. Think I know it. I took
It's
it twice.
funny, like, now that I do all this fabrication with bends and notches, and I struggle with, like, the math. Not really struggle. I'm pretty good at math.
You wish you'd have paid attention.
Oh, my God. I wish. That's why I teach the kids at the Career Center when I go down, that they need to apply themselves. Because
yeah, pay attention to
I start to Google it, and it's like a simple formula, and I can figure a pair of handlebars from start to finish and not waste any tubing.
Yeah. You know, that's it's interesting. My oldest son is 25, and he's a diesel mechanic. He did terribly in school, but he got excited when he got out in the diesel mechanic world and started having to fabricate things. Man, he is a crackerjack at math now. He'll come in my shop and he's reading it and he does all the math, and I'm like, dude, if you could have done that 8 years ago, he'd be an engineer and probably be bored out of his mind. He wouldn't be happy.
Right. So I guess I don't know what kind of message that is.
Yeah, but he's happy as a diesel. That's one of the things, too, that the guys you see on stage, obviously he's doing a great job with that. Making sure that with this stuff that we do as craftsmen, that we take the time. Like I know you work at the Career Center.
once a year I go down and talk for the day and show the kids.
I mean, that's it. You're
can't
talking
make it
to kids,
seem like I'm-
but really working with kids and taking them in and showing them that, if school isn't their thing, that, you can work with your hands and you can do things. But even if school is their thing, I've got 4 kids. They're all adults now, and two daughters, and they all work on stuff. My oldest daughter's an archaeologist, and she called me the other day, and she said, "Man, she lives in Florida. She said, man, I really wish there was a shop that I could get a job in just part time down here." She said, so that I could work on stuff, and but to be able to have a skill and to be able to really use your hands and work through things, it's a sense of confidence that it gives people. So. I tried to example that with my kids. I got my PhD in anthropology from Erskine College years ago. But I build motorcycles and high rods. That's all they've ever known me to do. But I told them, I said, there's value in education, but education doesn't have to lead you to a career. You can value education and get it and love it and have it nurture things inside you, but you can also work with your hands, and there's incredible value in that. Where are we at now?
I just figured you don't really have to do this, but it's good for double checking angles if you use just a simple angle finder. So you can establish, like say this is off by 3 degrees from 90. Then you can throw it right here, and it reads about 19 degrees, take 3 off, 16-degree bend right there.
So that way when you bend your metal, you can just
double check it.
You don't have to walk back and forth to the bike.
As much, like you can always tweak it back, but it gives you can fine tune it.
Yeah, it gives you a place to start.
Yeah. And there'll be 2 bends probably in this front part because this sticks up higher than the actual rail, so we'll have to
it goes, you can't really see it from here, but the center line of that bracing, that triangular brace in there actually bends down as well. So he's going to have to bend that down.
Coming back.
And it's going to kind of have a compound bend in it.
And then
here, we've got that microphone right there. You can move it too.
So what we got going on here,
okay. Yep.
We put a little bit of radius in this piece of steel here. This is going to be the back part of the seat. And we've got the shape we want to match the back of the fender. We're going to actually put a little bit of concave in it going this way now, so it will lay flat on the fender when we're done with it, and then he can weld it into the other part of the seat, and you'll pretty much have a completed seat pan at that point. The tool we're using, which is the English wheel, of course, the first radius that we just put in it, we used a completely flat die because we wanted to get the shape just this front to back way. Now we're going to actually go to a die with a little bit of radius in it, and it'll actually start to concave the metal going the opposite direction. So we'll put that in here, do a little bit of rolling. We'll bring you back a piece here in a second, show you some more curve.
Width-wise.
And Chris has pointed out in the last session.
Ladies and gentlemen, RJ Powell. Isn't he doing good since the accident? Right?
RJ, he's a good friend.
He's a good friend.
Chris pointed this out in an earlier segment when we were making the side panels. There are dozens of different ways to accomplish the same thing. You don't have to have all the tools in the world. For instance, the old man that taught me how to do sheet metal work initially, some people would say he didn't do a very good job, but he was old school, and we would go out with a hammer and a piece of metal, and we would find something around the shop that was the relative shape that we were looking for, and we would go beat it out. We didn't have a metal brake in his shop, but what we had was several pickup trucks. And so we would use the tailgate as a metal brake, and it worked just fine, And so I wouldn't do it with one of the new Ford F-150s. They're made out of aluminum, and you will destroy your tailgate. I don't know that from experience, but I hear it's a bad deal.
Hey, man, and like Pat was saying, there's a million ways to do all of this stuff. One of the, like on the cheap, that we used to do stuff for choppers, and we still do them this way, is we take a junk old fender. If you start with a junk old rear fender and you cut the middle section out, you already have your radius work done. It's already been radius for you. You already got a little shape into it, and all you have to do is shape that a little bit to complement the radius of the fender that you have. So it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. If you happen to have the tool, it's nice to do that stuff from scratch, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world.
Well, and I just built a bike for Royal Enfield, North America, and I built a 70 style chopper out of one of their new Continental 535 GTs. And my rear fender, I was like, I want to have this cool little body line in it, and I wanted it. And I started looking around my shop, and there was an old shovel head fender sitting on the shelf that I was never going to use for anything. And so that's exactly what I did. I just cut it up. So, and that's part of that's what we're really into. That's part of building choppers, is looking around and seeing what you can find that you can use.
And adapt.
And that's the fun of it for me, is being able to find stuff.
Because I think you think on a wider realm of like what is possible, and a lot of people are, blinders on what could possibly work, instead of, if they run into a problem where there's a clearance issue, instead of either grinding it out, they want to call the company and address the problem when they could just make it happen.
Yeah, so, and just go at it, I encourage folks all the time, if this interests you at all in terms of doing a custom motorcycle, just go, even just buy one out of a salvage yard that maybe it's never going to run.
Well, it would be like, what was that movie back from when you were young?
Oh my God!
Grease 2.
I don't remember it. It didn't have. Wasn't a talkie picture then. Rat. But you can go pick up an old bike that's just a wreck and make some sheet metal for it. Just start playing with it. You don't need a lot of tools.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a sandbag. We've got the one up here someplace. You get a sandbag and a set of hammers, and you can make everything on that motorcycle. I mean,
I'm still learning. Like I work full time, and every day is
But if you're not learning something, if you're not learning something every day when you're doing this stuff, then you're not. You should stop doing it.
All right, so I have the contour of the front slightly, and what I did here is I just marked the center line, cut up to it, and then folded it over to give me kind of like a transfer instead of having to make one after I fold it all up.
But anybody that's here that has a motorcycle, and it doesn't matter what kind of motorcycle you got at the house, I just think, I would encourage you, go home and make a seat pan for it. Make your own seat. You just, you'd be surprised, you get that thing done, and then you take it to an upholsterer and you say, well, when I ride, Matt, my Addy butt, my butt hurts here, or my thighs hurt here, and they, put your own foam in it and stuff, and it can improve your riding, but it's just, for me, it's just a lot of fun. I would do this even if it didn't make me rich.
I think I always say it's a challenge. Everything's always the challenge for me, because I like to make my brain work.
I like the idea of being able to walk up to one of my motorcycles and know that I did that. That might be like everybody else's bike, but I did that. So that's a good feeling for me. My wife did make me, though. I bought a 2011 Road King to flip, and she took it for a ride. She brought it back to the house, and she said, don't touch it. I said, what do you mean don't touch it? She said, don't touch it. We're keeping this one. I'm like, well, we could. And she said, don't touch it. We're going to have one bike that's not disassembled at the house. So you can go a little overboard. I have a tendency to disassemble every bike I've got over and over and over. Do you do that too?
No, my brother does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He gets in a rush, and he wants to ride, and I'm more like, I'd rather only do it once than have to keep taking it apart if my style changes. I'll build the bike, I'll do a bunch of stuff to it, and I'll ride it for 18 months, and I'll be like, okay, I'm done with that. Now I want a new bike. But the nice thing about being able to do this kind of work, too, is you don't ever have to buy a new bike. You just change
the one you got. So I've got a 97 Road King that's in probably its 13th kind of life as a motorcycle. Now it looks like an old knucklehead. So I just keep changing that. I'd pull it apart and rebuild it and do something different to it. Now I'm thinking that I want to put a GSXR front end on it like this and kind of make it a canyon carver. I rode it through the tail of the Dragon last year on a hot bike tour, and my brakes went out, so I didn't have any brakes. So I rode the tail of the Dragon with no brakes. It was exciting, but I figured the thing ought to handle better. Yeah, it was like a bad idea, but I had no idea how I was going to get home. I had to get to the other side of the mountain. That's where the food was.
Was it downhill or uphill?
A little of both. I rode with Kyle Shorey from Shade Tree Fabrications and Bob Kay, legend in the motorcycle industry, and I was mad as hell because they knew I didn't have any brakes, and they were just killing it, going really fast. I got to the end. I kicked the kickstand down. I'm yelling at them. Bob, who just turned 70, looked at me. He's from Texas. He said, "Boy," he said, "we were only going one direction. You knew where we were headed. You could have ridden any speeds you wanted to." I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I could have ridden slow. That would have been safer. So sometimes we just never learn.
We have clamps, so clamp it down.
Are you going to use the, what do you need? You need that tightened?
Clamp.
Oh, clamps.
Just one of these.
Right there.
Just to hold the sheet metal down.
Here. That won't work. He needs one of... Are you going to need the planishing hammer?
Nope.
Let's just... Here, I'll just rob this one. This one's easier to get to.
Just take it off.
There you go.
My helper will take that.
Oh, sorry, Addie. I didn't see you there. I was looking there. I didn't look there.
All right, let me see that, Michelle. Oh, this ain't going to work either.
Now, this is something, what RJ's doing back here for the passenger part of this seat is making it narrow enough that nobody will actually want to ride on it because it will be like a steel thong. But, which I don't know if you've ever worn one. Sir, don't answer that question. I see it in your eyes. I don't want to know about your steel thong.
So it's
tough.
Saying it's something you would ride, Pat?
He's using these tees right now. Wasn't able to get completely done on that English wheel with that particular die. Austin, I'm real curious about what you're getting ready to do.
Right now I did transfer over the template. I guess.
Oh, never mind. I see what you're doing. I thought you had it. I didn't realize it was hanging over the edge. I thought that's not going to cut through the table. I didn't realize. You know what you're doing?
Not really. I'm just winging it.
I know. That's why I'm up here watching you. That's why I'm here.
All right. So see where the bends were located? So with the corrugated cardboard, it's easy to get each spot to bend where you need it, and it'll stay pretty straight. So then you can mark your bends here and here. And then you'll cut it out. I brought some angle iron to throw in the vise, and you can kind of tweak it that way. So
that's a good. That's good to.
Long enough that you're not bending an edge. You want it to be nice and sharp, nice radius on it. So you clamp these in your vise, straight up and down, tighten your vise, and it's almost like a brake. And also I brought like a heavy rubber mallet that you can strike and get it to take shape.
Get to cutting, boy.
Well, you made me show
them.
You
already had the thing clamped down once. Man. You need to spend a month at Sin Central Garage.
Clean it up. Get some work done.
Well, yeah, I was going to say I might get something actually out of the shop.
Can we roll this that way a little bit?
Yeah, I can do whatever you need me to do. I'm
kind of cramped.
It's one of my best things. Just saying, Paul. I'm a one-man show. I fire myself about once a month, but work starts stacking up, and I got to go back. So then I got to eat humble pie and rehire myself. I hate it.
And this type of shear, the nibbler you can run radius is real easy. This, not so much. It's good for straight line cuts. So what you'll do is you'll get it close, and then you can kind of chip away it as you come around. Also, you can throw it in the bandsaw, and then if you have like a disc sander, or I'll use a grinder, but you can contour it. You want to cut a little outside your line. That way you don't mess the piece up right off the bat.
Yeah, and depending on what kind of setup you have or what kind of friends you have, you know, you could, on this particular application, because he's not going to be forming the edge in any way,
No.
You could use a plasma cutter. You could use a cutoff wheel. You could use a lot of different things. You could use anything to cut it. But the reason we say not to, like on the piece that they're working back here, if you're going to be shrinking or stretching the edge of the metal, if you're going to be changing that shape at all, you don't want to use a plasma cutter or anything that creates heat, changes the molecular structure of the metal, and it hardens it, and it doesn't shape the same way. And so it makes it much more difficult to work.
Work harden it. Let's go. We'll go off the edge a little bit. I need to get one of these tables. I was so close to adding it to the cart, man.
These tables this table we're working on is from weldingtables.com.
Certiflat, yeah, weld tables.
Weldtables.com. It's written on here, yeah, so I don't forget it.
Yeah.
And, man, that is a handy thing. All these little holes in it, they make fixtures, but you can also create your own fixtures to jig things up, and you just bolt them to the table so that things don't move. Really handy.
Like a guy made a post about taking just Harbor Freight clamps like these kind of, but with the rubber handle, and you can grind the rivet out of the end, and you drop the other end out, and you just weld a 5/8 slug to it. And what it does is the force, when you start to, you want it at a slight angle, but it won't pull out once you start to get pressure down on it. It'll wedge it in the hole, so it won't pop up out. And then they're $3.
Yeah, these tables are, if you're going to be doing
Bessie.
anything around the shop, these are handy.
All right, you want to stand out of the way, Bebe?
I want one, but I want it to be 15 feet long and 8 feet wide.
You know, like a car jig.
Yeah, so because I do hot rod chassis, and I'd really like to have one of these set up so that I could build chassis on it. That would be super handy. Maybe if I keep selling enough of them here, telling people about them, they'll send me one.
That's what I was just thinking just now.
But I don't think they're going to send me one 15 feet long and 8 feet wide.
Hint.
I don't even know what that would cost to ship, honestly.
Oh, my God. It probably had I-beams under it.
Now that RJ has his plasma table, I'll just have him make me one.
Right. 5/8 holes.
Now, for any of you on Facebook Live that are just joining us or that joined us a little late, we're Grease and Gears Garage. We're just a bunch of dirty mechanics. We travel around
Speak for
the
yourself,
country.
Pat.
Oh, did you bathe today?
I actually showered this morning.
Awesome. Chris,
Yeah.
that shirt was clean when you put it on today, and you've already smudged it. It's got stuff on it, all over it. You pig. Oh, my God. So, but anyway, we bring a bunch of tools here. We just want to give people a slice of what it looks like in a shop that's building stuff with people's hands doing it. Just American craftsmen kind of going at custom motorcycles and hot rods and stuff. We're not TV builders. We don't have, millions of dollars worth of tools and CNC machines and stuff at our shops. And so we just want to help people get a handle on the fact that this is the kind of stuff that you can do as well. There isn't anything that we do that other people can't do if they invest the time in just doing it. And with very limited tooling. I mean, how many square feet is your shop?
800.
800 square feet. Hey, I don't laugh about it because I'm in 800 square feet now, too, until I get my other shop finished.
It's like a game of Tetris every
time.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do it. Oh, my God. I went from 3,000 square feet to 800 square feet. And I've got another 3,000 square feet I'm getting ready to move back into, and I don't know how I do it. But I do cars out of it, too.
I don't even have room for cars. I've got 5 tables and then all my tools. And my wife says I need to put a garage door in the back so that if the paramedics ever come, they won't be able to wheel me out of there. So they'll have to have an exit for the back. It's every square foot counts in there, every inch.
Yeah. Everything's got to be on wheels when you're working in that kind of small space.
Hi.
You're doing a good job, Addie. You picking up?
She likes those. They look like curly. Looks like my hair.
So do I. It's like a slinky. It's an industrial slinky. Chris, how far is RJ along with the back end of that thing?
Can I use this?
Way off.
Just spin it.
Yeah, excuse me 1 second. I would like to speak with you about that.
I'm not sure what we're doing now. Oh,
Keep it up.
that was maybe getting ready to fall off the stage. I don't know. We told the builders not to drink before they got on stage. We forgot to tell the tools.
Yeah, we'll be here all weekend. Hang on, let me grab something. Run over and talk to that
Austin, what in God's name are you doing now?
What's that?
Are you doing maintenance now, or
I
you're
don't know.
going to
I
use the
thought
bandsaw?
I'm going to use the bandsaw, man. With that, another thing about that shear, you want to be strategic on how you make your cuts, because you'll always end up with a spot that you're not going to be able to get because it's called the scissor. And there's two. What?
Well, I mean, a scissor. That's everybody knows what
Yeah.
a scissor is.
Yeah, they've
Don't
got them
run
all
with
over
it.
right there. But the lower die will come up in between 2 upper dies, and it shears it. So you'll be cutting whatever the width of the actual blade on that shear out of your material also. So you have to kind of watch that. But you want to stay on the edge of your cut. You can always come back, feather this stuff off of the grinder. But that last little bit, because that's square, it'll only catch on the right side. So it
Right.
won't initiate its cut.
I smell what you're cooking. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Feeling what you're putting out. I don't think Chris is really happy with me continuing to say he's going to ride this from Washington, D.C. back to Pittsburgh after the Washington, D.C. show, but I want us to keep putting that out there. My phone's ringing in my back, but my butt was singing. Amelia, I'm on
Yes,
stage.
Can't talk right now.
Okay, I'll call you back. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye. Oh, my wife's not watching. It was my girlfriend. Jesus. No, it was my oldest daughter.
Here is just grinding up my Sharpie mark. That was when you start to see the Sharpie mark disappear, then you're where you want to be, because when you transfer it with the cardboard, the Sharpie's going to mark on the outer edge, so it's going to be a little bit wider than what you actually
Just going to
need.
shave it off. This is a place where I see a lot of guys get a little aggressive with a grinder, even with a flap wheel. They take too much off.
Yeah.
This is kind of the place where finesse is best.
Yeah.
Just kind of
And
going
it just takes
slow.
time using them. And a lot of time, maybe you want to keep a couple of these around that aren't so aggressive, and you can use it as it takes longer for it to cut, so you can't make a mistake so quickly. Like plasma, I have a plasma, and I don't even use it because it's so fast.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
I'd rather nip away at it, and I don't even have a standing bandsaw. That's it. So I have this, but I don't have a standing bandsaw in my garage.
Well, because nobody gave you a standing
Exactly.
bandsaw.
So I chuck a portaband in my vise and put a foot switch on it.
Hey, there you go, man.
And it doesn't take up any room.
That's the way you handle your business. There you go.
I can put it in.
You got 800 square feet. You got to have room for
Baby.
oxygen in there.
You can hold it right here. I need my marks.
RJ, we're getting close. Where is your piece? Where'd it go? Let's show this. Oh, you can see this now. He's taking that flat piece, and of course he did it this way, and now he's getting that concave in there. With metalwork, you know, like this looks terrible right now. This looks horrible. But that's the thing with metalwork. It's going to look worse before it looks better. And that can frustrate a lot of people that you're not getting someplace. But
and
it
like
is
we talked about, it's going to get covered.
Yeah. So, and it's going to get covered. So, I mean, it's a
Not that I think like that.
yeah, not that if we uncovered one of your seats, we'd
you
find a
should.
load full of shit crap. So, no, that's coming together. So, I'm assuming now you're going to put that on a planishing hammer and smooth out all the, clean it up a little bit, and it'll.
It's got the correct shape.
Yeah, so he's got the right contour. And again, the planishing hammer that Mark is setting up here is it's nothing that you couldn't do with a hammer and some dollies and work it and work it and work it. It's just going to do it quicker. It's I don't have a planishing hammer in my shop because I feel like it's lazy.
Can I go check on the bike?
But the more I hit metal and my elbow hurts,
Let's straighten out.
the more I think I probably ought to get one. You know, it's one of those things. But I don't use an English wheel either.
I don't have an English wheel yet.
I use
Dad, what side? Which side?
it's called a shot bag full of sand and hammers.
All right, so with that shear, though, you'll notice it deforms the metal a little, and it depends if you're up and down on it, it'll deform the metal. So what we're going to do is go ahead and she's going to pound on it a little bit to straighten it out, right?
All right. Do you need is that too high for you? Do you need something to get up? You going to be all right? She says, just leave me alone, man. I know what I'm doing.
We'll give Addie some earmuffs
Yep.
while I'm using this.
Earmuffs.
I
Okay,
love
now we
earmuffs.
can-
Okay, guys,
Now we can talk about whatever.
What were we talking about?
Hello.
Is it good? Ready? And now
And as we mentioned earlier, I mean,
and raise.
you can walk around metal. You can go to metal shaping websites and metal shaping stores and wander around and see every tool in the world. But, you know, if you're just going to start out, I just find the least expensive way to do it. But I also am a huge – my kids can't ride a motorcycle unless they purchased the motorcycle. That was the rule for the first motorcycle, you know, because they had to have some investment in it, so they understood what it was. But with metalwork and stuff, like Mark and I are old enough that we started the hard way, and I think everybody ought to have to learn by how your hands move metal before with a hammer. Otherwise, you're not going to understand what the machine's doing, really. So. Getting hot?
Did he drop my DG?
I was doing the wrong. Getting hot?
Yeah.
These lights do it. I think every family ought to have a planishing hammer at Thanksgiving dinner. So when somebody starts saying, all right, Austin, what are you doing now?
I always prep my metal, keep it clean, because I always TIG weld it. So it's got to be.
TIG everything?
It's a little bit more of a process, but I don't know if you It's kind of scientific. I think they call it metallurgy.
Metallurgy? I don't know. Let's call Evan Favaro. He knows all about that.
My boy.
Evan knows some science.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things that surprised me about doing this, Grease and Gears Garage Stage. We get some guys up here that, I mean, you wonder how they get out of bed and actually don't swallow their toothbrush in the morning. And then they start busting out some math and chemistry. And you know Dana Menifee from Suicide Choppers over in Sioux City, Iowa? Man, that cat, he builds front ends. Dana Menifee, he builds those slip-on springers. And that cat got on stage and started talking about calculus. And he was like, you know, you take the square root of this. And I was like, and I looked at Dana and I was like, I mean, you would think he was about as smart as I am. That guy's smart, though. All right, now you're just remarking it to where to make your bends?
Yep. And then I'm going to grind just a little bit more off of here before I start making my bends. It's always easier to get the final shape before you have the bends made.
Trying to hurry you along. I want to see what this thing's going to look like.
I know. My phone's ringing, too. Can you back up?
That's a fine job, son.
And you always kind of
hand file. Why do you hand file?
It's a straight surface, gives you a nice square edge, and it helps deburr any of the grind. Because the grinder, whichever way the wheel is turning, will leave a burr along the bottom end. So if you just run it a couple of times on there, it just knocks it right on.
RJ finished that thing. Where'd it go? Wait.
Do you have a...
Where's Heather? Well, who do you need?
Taking your gloves off?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take one for the team.
No, man. Really?
What are you doing? Sitting on it?
I had to find a passenger. Want me to sit in front of you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's real nice.
Hey, this is real comfort.
That's nice, Clark. That's
Yeah.
real nice.
No.
How many sharpens do you have in your pocket? What is that?
Pat.
God, Austin, finish the seat. I can't even get off. Oh, God. Put a little hitch in my get along there. Yeah, that just happened.
Some things you just can't unsee.
My eyes!
And the beauty of that is it lives on social media forever.
Forever.
Did you guys think about that?
Yeah, we're friends. I'm secure with what I got going on. Well, huh? Yeah. I'm going to hit a whole new demographic.
Just gonna say that.
I'm all about the marketing. Hey, buddy, who owns you? Look at him. He's like, I don't know. I'm trying to find a new owner right now. Said, I'm going cruising. Did you want to say something about what the... Say it.
If you're just now joining us, folks, come on over and grab a seat. We are right in the middle of another incredible presentation from our friends at Grease and Gears Garage. Mr. Austin from Austin Martin Originals in the house with his little sweet pea daughter up there. And they are showing off how to build a custom seat pan. The Grease and Gears Garage presentations at every single show, showcasing awesome skills, helping you figure out how to build and customize your perfect bike. But here at the Progressive Parlor, we are still up and running and rocking and rolling, friends, still hooking you up with all sorts of awesome free stuff over here. Flo's Chop Shop is still up and running. We are dishing out free barbershop services back there. Right in the middle of our display, that beautiful BMW from local hometown hero Disowned Customs is our current grand prize giveaway motorcycle. When you get signed up to win that beautiful bike, I'm going to throw in a free t-shirt just because I can. So come on in, friends, get signed up to win that beautiful bike, take home a t-shirt. Last but certainly not least, we have our buddy Weiser Honor dishing out those free airbrush tattoos. And if you'd like to learn about making the switch on over to America's #1 rated motorcycle insurance company, we've got some great local agents that would love to chat your insurance needs with you and show you exactly why we are the #1 rated motorcycle insurance company in the United States for well over 50 years. That's how we do here at Progressive Motorcycle Insurance.
I can find a piece of paper. Chris, do we have a piece of paper? Oh, I bet I know where there's a piece of paper in the printer.
Can I get one of the thingies?
Chris, talk amongst yourselves.
Talk.
No.
Say, hey, how you doing?
No.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
So while he gets me that piece of paper, this right side's not contoured yet. This left side's contoured. So what I'll do, I mark my center, and I'll take a piece of paper and tape it down the center line, and then I'll scribe the back side of it, trim that out, and then I can flip it over and transfer this side to this side.
This paper is good for you.
It's a paper.
Okay.
Is he doing all right, Addie?
Yeah.
Keep up with him.
I'll try.
Eventually, we're going to have a seat pan here. I don't know. Does it always take him this long to do stuff?
Not normally.
Not always. Not normally. He's being extra slow just for us.
Probably because he doesn't know where his stuff is.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. Thanks, Eddie.
At home,
That's a good
he knows
partner
where
in crime when they'll
everything
give you an
is.
excuse.
At home, he knows where everything is. And it's really messy.
Even if it looks like chaos, right?
Yeah.
What do they say? My shop looks like Einstein's desk when he died. He always said, if a empty desk means an empty mind, what is a cluttered desk a sign?
Cluttered mind.
That's me.
What are you even talking about?
It's old stuff.
Why are you taping a piece of paper to it?
Well, what I'm doing now is I can match the sides up accurately, not just by eye. Do we have scissors? Scissors?
Maybe.
You've got a razor. Now you want scissors? Caesars.
Skizzers.
Scissors.
Caesars. That's what I said.
Skizzers.
Caesar?
What are you doing now? What are you got this piece of paper on there?
Yeah, I marked my center, and like I said before, to get this same contour on transferred onto this side. Once I cut it out, I can flip it. If I tape along the center line, then I can trace that onto the other side and get the exact same profile.
You're such a smart boy.
I think that's why it takes me so long to do stuff. But I try to read a lot.
Not normally.
Do things the right way. Not books, but forums.
You do not read books.
Nope.
And Mom just found your glasses.
She found my glasses that I don't even wear. Yep.
Not at all.
He's going to grind all that off?
He's touched them
Bandsaw
once.
right there.
Dad, are you always gonna wear your glasses?
Am I what?
Are you always gonna wear your glasses? No.
No. No,
Well, you
I'm
should.
not.
The doctor gave them to you.
I got 20/20 vision, lady.
When does Mom's and
Going
sister
old
come in?
school. I like it. I like it.
What are you doing?
Okay, see that? Move that in a little.
That's why I like working with these guys. Now he's got a set of hand shears. You want to radius that rear section, so he's doing what we've been doing with all these power tools. He's doing it with hand shears. You can do it as long as your forearm holds out. Now, Austin, how long have you been building bikes?
I built my first bike when I was 23, so
13 years?
2003.
13 years.
15 years.
14, 15 years.
Oh.
Something like that.
But
I didn't like it actually.
You
I started it in
because it was
2003.
born.
Took me 5 years to build.
5 years for your first bike.
Saving money. I didn't want to cut any. I put about almost $20,000 into it. So
Wow.
every tax return. Once I went so far, I just didn't want to cut any corners. So, like I said, I was patient enough to not want to ride it and have to change it every year.
Right.
I just didn't ride it, and I just kept slowly buying stuff for it.
So you don't do the
I thought you started
driving
when
projects.
What's that?
You don't do the riding project then. That's not your...
Well, like I was saying, my little brother, he's got a lot of old vintage bikes, and he just wants to ride them. He's a rider. I'm a builder. I ride when I go to bike shows in other states, and
Hey,
it's
Dad.
enjoyable because it's nice weather.
I thought you started when Ayana was born.
She was.
John
14.
Shipley.
But she's now 15.
John went out all by himself last night and got tooted up and had to take a nap for 4 hours this afternoon.
Who's your daddy?
And now he's back with another drink in his hand.
Got to get balanced. You stand over there, love. By
John is another talented guy that we got here in the J&P Cycles Ultimate Builder Competition. Got a couple of your bikes here that are for sale this weekend, I saw. Yes, sir. Hold on. Hey, John, make yourself useful. Go give this guy a microphone. This gentleman right here. Oh, by the way, I think it's sweet you're still coming with your dad to motorcycle shows. That's real sweet.
Hey, my name's Cliff. I'm from Townville. Drop over sometime. Once you get the seat all done and put together, how do you fasten it down?
That's a good question. What's that, Chris?
Sorry, what do you say?
How do you fasten it? John, go get my microphone again. How do you fasten the seat? How will it fasten itself?
Velcro.
Velcro. It'll have one in the back and two up front because this frame happens to have that we've put two holes up there, and so it will actually bolt and what will happen with it is these bolts will go in from the bottom and we'll actually weld the nut to the seat pan, and so you'll take the bolts out from the bottom. And they'll just be under the foam then.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing now? What are you doing now?
Now, they laugh about Velcro. I actually, on the Royal Enfield bike that I built, I didn't really have any place to fasten the seat. You know, I mean, it wasn't going to clutter it up, and I didn't really want to put a bolt through the rear fender there because it wasn't going to look nice, and it was a 70s style chopper. I had this a velour seat on it, and so I didn't want to encumber the seat at all. So I actually did Velcro, put Velcro on the frame and Velcro on the seat. It just Velcros on, and I rip it off. But what normally would be an oil bag that looks like kind of an oil bag battery box under where the seat goes, is actually where the battery and all my electronics and everything goes in there because I use a tiny little battery. And so, yeah, you can just Velcro them on, too. And a lot of guys will choose to do that, particularly if you've got a bike and you're making a seat for it, but you've already got all your paint work done and you're not sure about drilling. If you are going to drill holes where it's painted, you put painter's tape over, masking tape over it, and you drill through. You do a pilot hole and drill through, and that tape will actually keep your paint from popping back up. If you just drill through, you'll chip all that paint. So you use the tape, but Velcro really, when you think about a motorcycle seat, how's it really going to pop off, you know? You're sitting on it when you're riding it, and then it pops off in the garage, you need a garage door. With mine, if I tow it in an open vehicle, with that one, I take the seat off of it. But pretty much, I think it's a good idea, I guess, to bolt your motorcycle seat down, but I've never really seen the purpose. And I don't know why you fasten them. I don't know. I'm heavy enough. My seat doesn't go anywhere when I'm on that damn bike. I figure it's got about as good a chance of getting away from me as that rear fender I'm sitting on, so. John, Austin's taking his time and he's not being very talkative while he's doing it. Thank God he's good looking because he's not much for the conversation. Shoot. He's doing a fine job. But now you're about to have to compete for the vice, aren't you? I would like you to get to bending that seat, Pan. I swear to God, I've been standing here for an hour waiting to get to the bending part.
Stop moving, Dad.
It's gonna be covered in foam. Did his microphone die? What is he gonna do now?
Yeah, really loud.
Oh, he's got him a lavalier.
Or he could just yell really loud.
He could just yell. Does he ever yell loud at the house?
Sometimes.
What's he yell about?
Ask him.
I used to do children's sermons at a church. That was the best time because you'd ask them questions, them kids would give honest answers. I asked these triplets one morning. They were about 4. I said, well, I didn't even ask them a question. I had about 50 kids up there. I said, so how are y'all doing today? There's one little boy, one of the triplets said, oh, man, I didn't think we were going to make it. And the other one said, yeah, Mom and Dad got in a big fight. And then the third one chimes in like the third little pig, said, yeah, apparently Daddy's got a special friend that Mommy doesn't like. And I was like, what do I do? Boy, kids will be honest with you. They'll tell you all the world. That might have been real close to the last children's sermon they asked me to do, though.
All right. Good?
All right, you good?
All right, so I went back with my marks.
No, you're going to make a bend at each one of those lines.
These cross lines, yeah.
4 of them.
And now this will probably be, this will be a bend up. These 2 will be slight bends up, and then this will be a bend back down because of the way that the frame gusset is.
Right on.
And then we have to figure.
Then you just set it on there and beat the hell out of it, and it does that.
Angle. Pretty much.
He and I do things different, I think. Well, that'll work, though, right?
It'll work.
Now, honestly, what I would do is I'd take you're going to laugh at me, I'd take my cutoff wheel, and I would score that a little bit.
And get it to bend.
And then I would just tap it down with a hammer, man. Aw, Lee.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Of course, I might have been tempted to right there just take a hammer and beat it down there, too, and make the same shape. I wouldn't do that.
But that's what I was saying. It takes me so long, and that way I don't have to make a second one.
Because you do it right. I hear you.
Maybe not, but I do it.
Yeah.
I do it my way. You know what I mean? It's my way or the highway.
Well, I am curious how you're going to make that other bend in it.
I don't know how I'm going to make the other bend.
There we go. So at least I had an idea, didn't I, John?
Now I'm going to mark the center of my fender.
That's something on your glove.
Sharpie.
How do you have Sharpie on your glove?
That's how it goes. So 6.5 wide, 3 1/4
new.
center line. I know they're brand new.
What math are you doing now? You're marking the center again?
Of my fender.
On your fender, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, he did this one.
6.5. Half of that is
3 1/4.
Good job.
Look at that. Did you see me? I did math on the fly.
Fast.
Oh, whiz.
Genius.
How are you going to cut it?
I'm not going to cut it there. We'll do a bend right there.
Bend.
Boom.
How are you going to bend it?
In the vise.
My gosh.
When I was in high school in North Carolina, they sent me to the North Carolina math contest. I don't know how I did it, but somehow when he gave the test to who was going to go to the math competition for the state, I aced it. It was a complete accident. And we got there, and then everybody had to go around the auditorium. You had to stand up and say what math you were in, like algebra, geometry, calculus, whatever. And you had to give your grade point average because everybody's real proud of that. What's your grade in the class? Right. And they're, I have 100. I have 100. I never seen so many smart people in one room all my life. They came to me, and I said, I'm in geometry. And they said, well, and what is your grade in the class? And my teacher was there, and he just put his head down. He was like, please, God, don't. I said, I have a 26. That was embarrassing. I should have lied. That was one of them times I probably should have lied. Probably should have lied. It was a day out of school. I had a good time. It was at East Carolina University. I did not win that particular competition. I did not come home, not even with a bronze. That was not my day. Nothing. They didn't give participation ribbons. It was when I was growing up. You know, when there were winners and losers. Well, second place was first loser. Yeah.
All right, so I had the center lines on it.
Yes, you did.
And I have my cross lines, and I can go ahead and use a square.
Now, this is what Austin was talking about. He just got 2 pieces of old angle iron, and he's put them in his vise, and he's going to use that as a brake.
So you can get it squared up better so your bend doesn't end up crooked with the seat pan. How's that look?
Huh?
Chris, how are you doing on the rear part of the fender there?
Oh, man.
Yeah, and theirs had compound curves on it, and they're already done with that piece. It had to curve 2 different ways. That's what compound curve means.
Look at you go. Load it in. Yeah. Of course we can go on the Ferris wheel after this.
Ah, okay. Chris is getting ready to, and RJ are getting ready to drill and weld their hardware.
I want to weld.
Austin wants to TIG something because he TIGs everything.
I love welding.
I build cars. I have to hang a lot of sheet metal on cars, you know, and you don't TIG weld that, you MIG weld that. But Austin will figure that out if he ever has to try to make money doing this one day.
Yeah, I know. That's not a moneymaker there. No, I wish. So you want to initiate your bend low. Let's see.
What do you need? A flat thing to strike against?
Piece of square stock or something.
That's Mark's fault. That's his
why
whole
you
job.
need to label them.
Square stock or
Label them.
something flat.
Well, it does say screwdriver.
Just be careful and hit the damn thing.
All right, it's all right. Make it work. Just a piece of square stock to.
He made her. He made his own heckler up there. What's that?
Huh?
He said, "Who brought the midget heckler?"
Real funny.
That's a screwdriver.
So
All
now,
right, and this is where you wrote the. Do you need this? Do you remember them?
16 degrees.
16 degrees.
But
But
Papa, why did you bend it?
but now that's going to read better than it did on the bike.
level wise, but it was only like 3 degrees off.
Yeah.
I subtracted it, so it's.
Oh, you already subtracted from the 3 degrees.
We got to go 6 more degrees.
As what I was telling you earlier, tailgate on a truck will do this just fine as long as you don't use a Ford, a new one, new Ford. Nothing against Fords. Actually, a Ford is a good tailgate to use because there'll be one just sitting there because they don't move. They just sit. Oh! Hey, Austin.
Hey.
Hey.
16. What's it say? 74?
No.
What's
It's 70. It's in the middle of 73 and 72.
4? Good? 74? What's 16 subtracted by, or 90 subtracted by 16?
9,
90.
90,
74.
74.
74?
Don't ask people math questions in public, Austin.
On the
That's
spot?
rude. That's just rude. That's why God made calculators.
It's sometimes.
And you just have
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a seat pan bend.
1.
They've been anxious for that.
Yeah. Can you come here, Boom?
Sure.
Where'd that mallet go? Over there?
Meowie.
That one's fine.
Mine.
Yeah, you just hold that one. He's going to use the other one.
He's gonna hold this. All right, Boom, come here.
Oh, here, hand me that back.
You don't need that. Hold that, just like that.
I gave you the wrong
We're
weapon.
gonna run
I'm
it
sorry.
down the edge like this.
Don't hurt me.
So get your gloves on.
Don't stick your tongue out. It'll doop with that hammer. It's bad. Put your gloves on.
You.
Those are cute little gloves. Where'd you get those little gloves at?
Christmas.
You got them from Christmas?
Yep.
So,
They look good.
and these.
And those are Timberland boots?
Timberland.
That's what all the rappers wear. Timberland.
All right, Boom.
What?
Eyeball that with the edge of that line. Hold it with that hand and right here. So you want to hold.
It's not lined.
Right in the middle.
Are you going
And
to
then
hurt
you'll
me?
just, nope, never. You want to run it right down that line.
Okay.
And we'll flatten that back out. Go ahead. A little bit. Keep it flat. Got it on the inside there? Yep, right there. Okay. Keep going. A little lower down.
This kid's good looking, but he ain't too fast.
Man.
Hey, you're eavesdropping. I ain't even talking to you.
Man, I can hear you.
Perfectly.
They got the welder out. See, you're not going to get to show people how good a TIG welder you are now. You're not going to get to post them up on social media, all them dimes you're dropping, because you're not bending fast enough.
Ow.
Yeah, she's going to weld it up.
What? Gonna weld it.
You're going to weld the whole thing.
What?
You're going to weld everything together.
No. Ho ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
No.
No. Yes.
I,
Yeah, get out of his way. It's taking him long enough. I need a Shh, don't look at me.
Hey,
Don't
can you
complain. Just
mute-
do the work.
You mute a mic? Just his is fine. Thanks.
No, don't listen to him.
Yes.
So, with this being wider angle iron than the vise, it gives you the capability to chuck it up and kind of be off to one side.
What's that? Say that again louder.
So I can put this longer thing down in the vise.
Oh, okay, I get you. With the angle iron, it makes it so that he can put a wider piece of material than he otherwise could in the vise.
Lower. You want to tighten that, Boom?
What?
Tighten the vise.
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
That's not what I
That's easy.
That's the easy one. Unless they're 52 Dodge lug nuts on the driver's side.
All right.
Which was a dumb thing. I don't even know why they did that. I had my boy out there. He's about 16. Told him to change the wheels on that old Dodge. Man, I tell you, he was trying to get those two off, and he wrung those lug nuts, those studs right out of those wheels. What are you looking for?
Sounds like it's leaking.
Nah.
looking for?
It's just extra air we brought with us. It was in that tank over there.
I can hear it, man.
It's just extra air.
Where's the straight edge?
Oh, God, he's back with the square and the RJ. You ever seen such? Such precision.
Yeah.
That's tough.
With a vise for a brake.
He was the one earlier that said they're going to cover it anyway.
Right. Sorry. If I'm going to put my name on it.
In all reality, for the past 27 odd years I have the same brake.
Oh, do you?
I actually have 3 brakes.
And then, can I get a clamp? There we go.
RJ says he's been doing this for over 20 years, and that's the same brake he's got at his shop. He's just got 3 different lengths of angle that he brakes with. Well, because I'm a professional, I have a real 48-inch metal brake at my shop because a guy went out of business and gave it to me. So that's how I ended up with it. Takes up a lot of space. No, I use it every day. And then I'd have to use angle iron. I don't want to do that.
I'll give you a good deal.
You give me some good deal on some angle iron? I tell you what, I didn't realize how fun that brake was, but it does take up a lot of space.
I only have a 3-foot brake, box pan brake, but it's awesome.
Well, and that's the other thing. You know, we were talking about there's a lot of ways to do this stuff. You know, if you need to make that curve, they made it, RJ made it on the English wheel with the flat die. You know, if you got a slip roll,
Second bend.
you can pick up a brake shear slip roll at Harbor Freight, a 3-in-1 for $360 or something like that, and it gives you all 3 in a very compact package. And for the home shop, that's just perfect.
Hold that right there, baby. Watch your arm.
You're doing a good job, Addie. I don't know what you're supposed to be doing, but the gloves.
Those gloves are killer, right? Thanks, Grandma.
I do like those gloves. I didn't even think they made gloves like that small.
You need that?
No.
Well, they do.
They do.
Cool.
Nope. Not for right now, no.
Nope.
He must love you. I made my kids wear great big adult gloves. I didn't even know they made children's gloves. Don't let my kids see that now that they're grown.
Hold that right there. Please.
Please what?
You all right, Pat?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. You just made me yawn just watching you work.
I know. It's kind of methodical, isn't it?
I can't talk anymore. They're tired of listening to me. That guy right there.
Yeah.
If that fat guy doesn't shut up, I'm going to rush the stage and kill him. I already told him about my math contest in high school. They know my geometry grade. That was the first time geometry grade. Second time was better. In college, I took statistics, and I needed that class to graduate. And the professor called me in his office 2 weeks before graduation. He said, I'm giving you a C in statistics. I said, a C? I said, I didn't think I'd done that well. He said, you didn't hear me. I'm giving you a C in statistics. He said, because the only person here that teaches statistics is me, and I don't want you back next year. I got to graduate. I got a C in statistics, though. What's that? We don't have one on stage here, so no. So he's showing us how his angle iron brake he brought with him.
In my bag.
I didn't even think about a brake on stage. I didn't even think about it. We need to go to Home Depot and buy one of those slip shear.
Addy.
Yeah.
Until you guys started talking about it, I thought the Vice was a brake.
Now you're going to get on the Google machine and look up what we're talking about? What is this brake you speak of?
All right, I'll hold it. You go ahead and tighten it.
I'll tell you what, that does upset me. My son's a diesel mechanic, and I think he owns stock in Matt Tools because, man, I tell you, he buys more tools, but he'll come home with the slickest little tools they've got, and I'm like, Lord, I didn't know. Man, they make a tool for everything. I've got some screwdrivers, hammers, pliers.
Hey, you know what, man? That's the main thing we're trying to show you here at Grease and Gears Garage is whatever tools you have, whatever level of ability you have, the most important tool to have up here is the desire, the ambition to do stuff, to put your hands on things. Just like he said about the Google machine, you can figure the rest of it out. You can watch YouTube videos. You can make mistakes. The way I learned to get these side covers to where they are there, which they're still kind of rough compared to how some guys would do them, I have one that's smashed completely flat because I worked on that thing for 4 hours, and right at the end, man, I'm going at the planish and hammer, and my planish and hammer wheel came loose on the bottom. It jumped across my part and crushed one of my corners. And there I am at 12:30 at night in the shop. It's cold. I'm tired of stoking the fire all day. I just smashed my part. I cranked that thing down, man. I flattened the whole piece back out, whipped it across it, turned everything off, and I was done for the day. You know, but
you wish you hadn't quit drinking, didn't you?
But I came back to it. You know, I went home for about an hour, had something to eat, and I came back to it.
Oh, the part.
Yeah. And I went after it again. And I mean, that's really is the determination and the will to come after this stuff and do it.
It is. And you know, you're not going to do it perfect the first time, and you're going to make mistakes, but it's just fun. I mean, and like I said, it doesn't matter what motorcycle you got. You can be out there riding a KTM 450, and you can make your own seat for it. I mean, it's just go at it. This is one of the best projects to do, and obviously, I mean, you can probably do it in an hour, I'm assuming, even though this is taking a little longer.
You look like you're paying us.
Oh,
no.
Oh, man, now he's got a... Stop being mean to me, Austin. I'm
All
old.
right.
You're supposed to be
so,
nice to me.
It's pretty much established. Now what I'll do is we have to get the brake for the peak, and then it'll actually bring this down to ground. So we could do it a few different ways with either an English wheel or plenishing hammer, but we'll probably just use simple stuff. Just break it over the edge of the table.
Yeah. So he's got all the bends. It sits on there correctly. Go set it on there so the people can see. Let them eyeball that.
So this is raised here. So there'll be a slight
seat pan because we're charging $50 an hour.
It'll be raised slightly through this area and this area because this is higher than those areas. So when it makes contact, you'll have to make the brake to come down to keep it. It can only be as tight as you can because of this gusset being raised on the actual. So you've got your initial bend here for the back, your two bends here for this area. Then this is making contact. So when you bring these two corners down with the brake down the center, it'll close this gap up slightly.
Now, Chris, they haven't seen what you finished here either, so. Are you going to work on a planishing hammer now?
No.
No, he's not. He doesn't do anything the way I do it.
Slight brake, I think.
Chris, show them that rear end you got.
I'm just trying to think
It looks good.
Bend, tweak everything.
So basically, we got our hardware welded on the end here. We have the matching hole in the fender, and what we did was we bent this tab back so that when Austin's done with his part of the seat pan, we'll bring these two together, and right in the corner there, we'll get a nice welded two pieces together. It'll make it nice and rigid for us. Then once all this is welded together, we'll actually come back over and start folding these edges over. We'll radius them just a little bit more so it fits nice and tight on that fender. Then the whole thing goes off to the upholstery guy.
Yep. There you go. And one of the reasons I'm assuming that Chris is going to hold off on finishing that piece, because when you weld it, you're going to put some heat in it. The heat's going to distort it to a degree, so you're going to have to go back and do a little bit of reshaping anyway, so you might as well just wait and weld it together. And that is one of the advantages of TIG welding this together. When they get ready to TIG weld it, it's going to isolate the heat a little bit better. It's going to be cleaner. You're not going to get splatter and that kind of stuff. Hey, we're on the short end of this now.
I'm just anxious to see Addy weld all this together.
Me too. I don't know if I want to break it in the center or break it and it'll fold this down.
Probably right. I would. And then that way, like whenever we get it to there, we can feather that
Down.
If it needs, if we
This
get
needs
to
a
a little
little.
too much of it, we can take the crown out.
Right now they're trying to decide where they want to break the top of the fender because it doesn't only have these bends in it. It's got that bend in it. How do you stop the center break if there's a break already in the middle? Oh, trying to break through a break?
Here, I'm actually going to break it from this corner to there, and it'll bring this down. Just this corner from that break to that.
If you get
Because
to
it would probably deform the seat through the center if you were to even just breaking it to this point, and that's where that comes in handy, is because you only stick it in so far. And you can break.
If you end up with one of those condition, trying to think of prism tanks is one of those conditions when you're making those that you would end up with kind of a multiple break. You really would have to make it in sections and then just weld it together. Like a prism tank on the front of them, you can't make all those bends correctly because eventually by the time you get to the edge it'll have deformed. So like you said, you would have to make those in sections and then I made that mistake. On the Royal Enfield bike I just finished building, I built a prism tank for it, and it was beautiful, and I was very proud of it. It was very clean. And then I opened my V-Twin catalog to order a customer a tank, and I noticed they had one that was looking really similar to the one that I had just spent 3 days making. It was Yep, $120. It was 2 inches shorter, but it would have worked.
So, Pat, we're going to be here all weekend. Who else is going to be on this stage?
They tell me Pat Patterson from Lead Sled Customs is going to show up late. No, he's going to be here.
And he promised me sober as a judge.
I don't know.
Promised.
Pat Patterson and I, actually, Chris came up with a rule 2 years ago in Sturgis. No drinking on stage. What did you buy? I don't even remember what you bought.
It was some how the girls come out and it's the rum of the rally and everybody's celebrating the new rum of the rally and these guys were all like, I was so happy to get them to the stage to actually do this segment. It was our first year doing Grease and Gears in Sturgis, and
Sit out there.
I was like, listen, if you guys go up and behave, I'm going to get you this bottle of rum from the bar. Well, they end up charging me at the bar. However many shots are in a bottle of rum, they charged me for that whole bottle. And they drank it all in the first 10 minutes of the show. The rest of the show was an entire train wreck.
It was delicious, though.
Joe, who comes with Pat, actually did the hardtail with our guy Mark. These two were a wreck.
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of work. But fortunately, we had Mark and Joe there to pick up our slack, and the segment went just fine. A good time was had by most. That's what was most important to me at the time. I don't even drink rum.
Got to bring it.
It was free.
A little more down
for me.
The leather's got to tuck under there, though.
Yeah. Let me see what kind of job he did. Oh, you did a nice job, Austin. That was good work. That was good. Good job.
Nice. Yep.
Well, nuts to the top.
Tell the people what you're doing.
Dad.
She's hungry. That's all.
She's hungry. That's all you can think about. All right. So now, you've got this bend in here now that does that. That's very nice. Now are you gonna hand dolly that down?
No, because now what we'll do, it's got to mount from underneath, so it's going to be slightly raised. The leather's going to have to wrap over, so you can't really
get it perfectly tight. You don't want it completely flush.
Because right about here. Ka-chunk.
See, Chris just put
Chris.
He just marked where he wanted that mountain nut to go. Now, do you need me to get your square?
It threw me all off. That's what I'm talking about. Let me get a measurement here.
Oh, yeah, we got food for you, Addie. You're not hungry anymore. There's some Welch's. It's fruit, too. It's in that bag. Here, did you need all this to make...
It's made from 10% fruit.
Did you need this just to make 2 marks to where you're going to put the holes?
You got your 2 marks, bud.
I swear the stuff I build doesn't come apart. It doesn't take me near this long.
I build stuff with enough thought that it can be taken apart. Yeah, no hard wiring. You got to put.
That's a Christian seat pan. You put little crosses on there. Look at that. Now it's a satanic one because they're upside down. Get thee behind me, Satan. Don't get me to go into preaching.
Preach, brother.
All right, how close are we to you welding this thing together?
I'm ready. There?
Yeah. All right, well, let's get going. Chris.
I got to punch the holes for the mount, see if they want.
Chris, get back up here. He's ready to weld it. He wants to punch the holes and weld it.
Want to weld all this on also?
Yeah.
Okay. You mind? No. You can lay it on there.
Up, down, probably under.
Under. That's the way you built it, wasn't it? Oh, wait a second. We didn't take that.
No.
We didn't.
Do it from under.
There you
Just
go.
tack it there and then. Take
We can get that.
What's that?
We can make a bend right here and then just flatten that bend out.
Yeah. Okay. I will do it.
This is a nice straight edge here on the edge of the table. I think you're going to have to do it on the edge of the table. Now that you got that other bend in there, don't
Thank you.
Welcome.
You guys make me nervous watching other people. I don't like people watching me work, but apparently I do everything wrong.
I was just doing like a do-it-yourself photo shoot with Lowbrow Customs, and it's like I post welds. 90% of them are pretty good to post, but there's always that ones that you're like, I'm not going to post.
Yeah.
Well, I have a photographer there taking pictures of me in the middle of doing the work, and every time I finish, he's...
Oh, yeah, getting right up. Those will be the ones that he decides to share around.
Just have a cordless drill.
Tell you a guy that makes me nervous to work with is this Evan Favaro up from Speakeasy Motors. That kid's really smart, and he's apprenticed with Faye Butler. world-class, not only metal shaper, but metal shaping instructor. He knows all about the machines and the tools and stuff. It's not my thing. I think if you just set it right there on the edge and whack it with a hammer, it's going to bend it.
Drill bit.
Right here.
Yeah.
I was going to, clamp it.
Is that where we're initiating it? You want to flatten this part out?
Yeah. Oh, other way.
You want to clamp it?
No.
You don't have to clamp it.
Yeah. Got it established.
There you go. That'll do, pig. Have you
That'll
seen
do,
that movie,
pig.
Babe?
Oh, yeah, for that.
You gotta watch Babe. It's an old movie, but you'd like it. It's about a
I
pig.
watched Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
You watch what?
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Ace Ventura. Your parents let you watch that movie? Your mom doesn't know you've seen that movie.
Classic.
It's a terrible movie.
All of us watched it,
All
and
of
the
you
second one.
I don't know about that. That's just poor parenting right there, Addie.
No.
It's very
you gotta let
funny.
them watch the classics.
There.
Yep. No, we just need to, yep. And just try.
Where's your mom? Is she coming this weekend?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that, Pat.
Hey, AB conversation.
Or my mom.
See your way out of it.
She'll
Hey,
be
is your mom coming this weekend?
Maybe.
Grandma?
Yeah. Grandma got me these.
Those are sharp-looking boots. Now, is that the thing? You don't take the tag off of them? Oh,
Yeah.
gotta leave that on them. I took mine off. I need to go get. I don't know why.
The place closes in 12 minutes, and he wants to give her 5 minutes.
My mom was gonna come today, but by the time she got here, it would be 8.
I know you're insane.
I hear you.
Cause she gets off work at 6.
She gets. Now, what does your mom do?
Sure that.
She is with. She watches kids.
She watches kids. That's important.
Yeah, she works at the daycare.
She works at a daycare.
Works at the daycare. Well, that's good. That's how she puts up with your dad. Yep. We got about 5 minutes to get this whole thing finished.
Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
It doesn't. Oh God! Now she's on you.
She's like pizza.
Chop, chop.
Chris, I'm already thinking about dinner. Austin, are you going to the builder thing tonight at Skidmark Garage?
I'll be there.
Yep.
She's like pizza.
Nice.
Right there. If we mark the center on this, then we can tack those up together.
Good, I'll move this.
Pat, are you bored?
Grab me that acetone.
Are you bored, Pat?
Right there, that yellow top.
Oh.
I know where it is.
Now, for those of you that don't weld or aren't familiar with different types of welding, he is tungsten inert gas welding. He's going to TIG weld this. It is a very precise weld. It's a very clean weld, a very strong weld process. But it does require that everything be clean. And so
Do you have any
the torch that you're going to use actually has a
rod
piece of tungsten about 8 inches long in it that you have to sharpen to a fine point, which is going to direct the electricity down into your weld.
Unless it's aluminum, then it works from the material out.
Right, then it works from the material out. And, but, so you just have to make sure everything's clean. Even to the point of your piece of tungsten, you want to have a completely separate grinding wheel to sharpen it.
Yeah.
You don't want any contaminants in it. So you just use acetone.
And then you clean your rod. You got to make sure it's squeaky clean.
Everything's got to be clean. Don't ever do that again.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you don't.
Can you get me square?
Yeah, we've gotten a lot done.
Square and a Sharpie.
It's pretty smart figuring out how to get other people to help build this motorcycle.
That square right there. Right in front of you. Yep. Right there.
Are you following
Yep.
me?
This?
See him chasing me around on stage, Heather?
No, I'm trying to make sure that I'm equipped to have this philosophical banter with you about building motorcycles.
Heather, where are you taking us to dinner? Steak!
So I wouldn't have to ask my friends to come here and help me finish this motorcycle if you wouldn't keep telling people how we're riding it off the stage in Washington.
Well, you're riding it from Washington, D.C. back to Pittsburgh in February.
Yeah.
That's going to be cold.
I'll shoot for off the stage.
Off the stage, because it's got a ramp. You'll make motorcycle
noises.
Wow.
Just eat beans and push it down the stage.
All right.
So, yeah, pretty good start here in Cleveland, man, for the Grease and Gears Garage.
Yeah, man. And tomorrow we got Pat Patterson.
A magnet.
What's Pat making for us tomorrow?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Pat's actually going to come up and teach us about hand-spinning fenders. It's for those of you that don't know, most of the fenders that are made on the market today are not formed. They're spun by hand, and that's an art that goes back to since
We have
the beginning of metal shaping. They made lamps, they made bowls, they made everything out of actually putting flat steel onto a spinning lathe and working the pieces out. So Pat's going to have a bunch of video, a bunch of stuff that he's actually spun, and he's going to put some fender pieces together. He's going to work out of blanks. It'll be a nice treat for everybody to see that. The machine that they do that on is almost as long as this part of the stage, so it will be kind of hard for us to bring that in
And the
here.
stage wouldn't hold the machine.
Yeah. And it's really heavy.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of great stuff. DJ and Stritter here from Courthouse Custom. Stritt's going to come up and do metal engraving, give you a first-hand look at, beginning to end of putting a design together on a motorcycle part, doing metal engraving. Tattoo Duke is in the house. He's going to be doing hot rod and motorculture sculpture, which is kind of a neat thing, man, for old collectors and pickers.
Yeah.
Cleveland's hopping in the Rust Belt, baby. This is where we get it done.
This is where we get it done, I know.
Right.
This is an exciting city. Exciting city. What do you have here? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what I think is ironic that Cleveland has? Isn't the Football Hall of Fame here? What is it? Canton. That's in Ohio. I knew they wouldn't put that in Cleveland. Nothing near the Browns.
One of the other things we got coming up this weekend, how many guys have touring motorcycle in the audience? Touring motorcycles? The guys from Rubber City Harley Davidson and I believe Rock and Roll Harley Davidson are going to come up and show us how to upgrade a touring motorcycle to the latest audio. So boom audio, they're going to put a whole new system on and show you that right here on the stage too, and explain to you if this is something you do want to try to do at home, what is all involved in it, because it's not as simple as when we used to twist together speaker wire back in the day.
You don't use the yellow.
No.
Oh wow, that's the godfather of sound right there. Apparently he makes a lot of sounds, that guy over there. Well, you'll want to be here for that so you can correct him, because there's nothing better than having somebody in the audience correcting the people on stage. I love that.
Hold that right there.
It makes it more fun that way, really, for me. Not necessarily for the
This mark
presenters.
right there. See that center line?
I'm good right now. I appreciate it. Chris has asked me not to drink on stage anymore.
Hurry up. We got to at least get attacked.
What?
Yeah.
He got a little salty after the bottle of rum.
We can finish it tomorrow.
More Heather.
Maybe.
Buzzkill Heather. It was just the money.
All right, so
yes,
with the TIG, what's nice is you can tack sheet metal together just by fuse welding it, and you don't have to worry about getting rod in right away, and it also makes it easier to break apart if you make a mistake. You want to make sure your centers are lined up.
So classically with MIG welding, you have wire fed, and you're
right there.
It's doing it all in one motion. With TIG welding, you have rod, you have the electrode, and you are dipping it. You're getting the metal hot, and you're making your puddle, and then you're dipping you're introducing the new material from the rod into that, and that's what's fusing the metals together. So what he's able to do with TIG, though, because he's able to tack it together simply by using the tungsten to heat the metal and fuse.
And what you do is you want to keep your tungsten tight arc. You want to keep the metals butted or it'll melt away instantly. And you want to roughly double your amperage. So if I was going to weld this at like 65 amps or 70 amps, I would set it at 120. And then you give it like a second or two, but you have to watch it. And you'll be able to tack it to where we could pull it off right now just with that one tack.
And one of the things, a lot of guys, I know that my son, he's 25, he was watching me TIG weld, and he said, oh, I could do that because he's an excellent MIG welder, but he really didn't have it. And when he says you want to keep your arc tight, he means you want to be able to have about a quarter inch.
I would say less than a 16th between your tungsten and
the metal.
The material. And
but
you can
don't
always
want to touch
lift it up as you're filling.
Yeah, and so, but you don't want to touch that tungsten to anything. And plus that tungsten, you get it in packs of 10 typically, and it's $70-$80 for a pack of 10 pieces of 8-inch tungsten. So you touch it, you got to go grind it back to a point.
Oh, damn it.
All right, folks. Well, he's going to weld that up. You guys are welcome to kind of take a look at it a little bit later. Thank you for being with Grease and Gears Garage. Folks on Facebook Live, thanks for being with us. Come back tomorrow. They got a lot of great stuff here at the show for you, and we got a lot of great stuff tomorrow in Grease and Gears Garage. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, put your hands together, everybody, for our final presentation of the day from Grease and Gears.